If there's one thing you listen to today, make it this. Imagine the consequences when machines begin to think, learn, and adapt faster than we ever could. It sounds like science fiction, but it's happening right now. Consider how intelligence, which began in something as simple as a single cell, has now evolved into AI systems so advanced, they're rewriting the rules of our future. Here's the twist. These machines are becoming so powerful, they're on the verge of replacing us. Take the generative pre-trained transformer, or GPT, for example, an AI that can write software codes and even create art all by itself. What about humanoids, which are poised to take over the factories? But GPT didn't just mimic human work. It generated ideas and solutions beyond what most humans could imagine. These breakthroughs are reshaping our understanding of evolution and challenging the belief that humans are the pinnacle of intelligence. As we build supercomputers, explore distant planets, and question our very existence, we have to wonder, are we still at the top, or is something greater on the horizon? Welcome to the channel. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss our next video. Today, we're not just exploring how intelligence evolved from single-celled organisms to the human brain. We're asking the tough question, are we creating something that could outsmart us? This isn't just a science lesson, it's a daring look at whether we're building our own replacement. Could artificial superintelligence be our greatest triumph or the start of our downfall? Stay tuned, because this might just change how you see the future. The journey of intelligence is a story billions of years in the making. Imagine for a moment, what if intelligence as we know it never existed? No thoughts, no decisions, just life floating aimlessly through time. It's almost impossible to picture, yet that's where life on Earth began. Single-celled organisms, no more complex than a drop of water, navigated their world with nothing but simple chemical reactions. Fast forward to today, and here we are, sending robots to Mars, creating art with a click, and even teaching machines to think. But how did we make this leap? And what if we got it all wrong? Could there be another explanation? Join me on a journey through the evolution of intelligence, from single cells to the superminds that might just surpass us one day. As we go, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Where do you agree and where do you have your doubts? And as things got more complicated, intelligence grew, reaching its peak in the human brain. But this is not the end of the story. First, let's look at the dawn of life and basic intelligence. Here, intelligence became less about instinct and more about learning, problem-solving, and abstract thought. The stage was set for the emergence of the most remarkable intelligence the world had ever seen, us. Our story started 3 billion years ago, in a world unlike anything we know today. Imagine Earth as a giant soup, filled with tiny single-celled organisms, like the very first bacteria. These little creatures were like drifters in an ocean, but they had one secret weapon: chemotaxis. It's a big word for something quite simple. They move toward food and away from danger. Sounds basic, right? But think of it like a hiker lost in the woods, finding their way by following the sound of a river. It's not intelligence as we know it, but it's a start. This ability to sense the environment is still used today in ways that might surprise you. For example, in medicine, doctors are developing treatments that mimic this ancient navigation to target cancer cells. It's a reminder that even the simplest forms of intelligence can have a big impact. But what do you think? Could there be more to this than meets the eye? Leave a comment if you've got a different take. Next is the rise of multicellular organisms. As time went on, some of these cells decided they were better together than apart. They formed multicellular organisms, tiny teams of cells that could do more together than alone. It's like a group of people, each with their own skills, coming together to build something bigger. And with this teamwork came the first hints of something we might call a mind. Take a jellyfish, for example. It doesn't have a brain like ours, but it has a simple nervous system that lets it sense the world and react. It's like a spider spinning its web. No conscious thought, just instinct. These early nervous systems were the building blocks of what would eventually become brains. Today, we've taken these concepts to new heights with artificial neural networks, the kind that power AI tools like ChatGPT. But here's a question. Do you think these early forms of intelligence were really the start of something bigger or just a coincidence? Let me know in the comments. Your perspective might surprise us all. In this section, let's have a look at the brain's evolution. Now let's jump backward a few 100 million years to the first creatures with backbones, vertebrates. Imagine a primitive fish, like a lamprey. It didn't just float around, it had a brain and a spinal cord that helped it move with purpose. Think of it like the difference between driving a car with GPS and wandering aimlessly. This was a big deal in the story of intelligence. As these creatures evolved, their brains started to specialize. Different parts of the brain handle different jobs: movement, sight, and sound. It's like how we have different apps on our phones, each doing something specific. But here's where it gets tricky. Today, our smartphones use similar principles to process information, thanks to AI. But are we just mimicking nature, or is there something deeper at play? Maybe we've missed a critical piece of the puzzle. Before we start, let's take a look at where we are in the history of intelligence. It has been a long road from single-celled creatures to the mind. However, what if we're not the last stop? Do you think we've reached the peak of intelligence yet? Or do you think there's more to come? Let us look into these options. From primates to humans, the leap from simple vertebrates to primates was huge. Imagine a tree with branches spreading out, each one representing a new skill or ability. Primates developed larger brains and began to solve problems in ways other animals couldn't. It's like a chess player thinking several moves ahead. Primates weren't just surviving, they were strategizing. Then came the early hominins, our ancestors. They figured out how to use tools, control fire, and form complex social groups. Their brains grew, especially in areas like the prefrontal cortex, where decisions and plans are made. But here's a twist. These are the same areas we're now enhancing with AI. Think of it as humans 2.0, but with silicon instead of neurons. But here's the question that haunts many. If we're building machines that can outthink us, what does that mean for the future of human intelligence? Are we the last stop on this evolutionary journey, or just another stepping stone? Here's something to ponder. Today, we're standing on the edge of something new, an era where intelligence isn't just biological. We've built machines that can learn, reason, and even surpass us in some areas. From the minds behind OpenAI, who brought us ChatGPT, to the innovators at Google DeepMind, the future is being written in code. But as we push these boundaries, we have to wonder, what's next? Are we creating something we can't control, or are we on the brink of understanding intelligence in a way we never imagined? To conclude, I want you to think about this. Intelligence has been on an incredible journey, evolving from the simplest life forms to the complex marvel of the human brain. But here's the twist. Our intelligence as we know it might not be the peak. We're on the brink of creating something beyond ourselves, something that could redefine what it means to be smart. What if the next great leap in evolution isn't biological but digital? The real question isn't whether this will happen, but when and how we'll adapt to a world where we're no longer the smartest beings around. Curious about what this super intelligent future might look like? You're not alone. I'm on the edge of my seat too. Stay tuned because in the next episode of this series, we'll dive headfirst into the birth of artificial intelligence, from simple machines to smart systems. Will we control it? Or will it control us? You won't want to miss what's coming next. Here's a sneak peek. Imagine a world where human limitations are a thing of the past. Intrigued? You should be.